ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Thomas Podcast. Here today, I am joined by Jono. And John, I have to say, mate, I don't know what you did the last couple of weeks, but I'm beginning to feel ill myself. You mentioned a couple of shows ago that you came down with a fever, and it must be quite viral because I've got it too.
Alex, are you telling me that you've got WrestleMania fever?
I am indeed telling you that I've got WrestleMania fever. Hello, everyone.
Dear.
It is the prediction show for WrestleMania. We are also joined by Sparky there in the background, as you can hear. Has Sparky got the WrestleMania fever?
At the moment, Sparky's got the Christmas tree plush fever, which means he gets bashed around the nose with it and then chases it down the other end of the room.
Nice. He's full of energy, though. It's
He's just had his tea, so yeah, he's I'll try and get him to chill.
That's all right. Sparks is always welcome to make any appearance on the show. He's all right. Sparky is friend of the show, so it doesn't matter if he's having a good time in the background.
Sparky as a dog is more welcome on this podcast than many people.
Yes, absolutely. But John, I thought we could start the show obviously by talking about two things. So one, we're going to get the negative, sad news out the way first, because we last did a wrestling podcast, something did happen. And then we will talk a bit more about WWE 2K22 now that I've been able to have a go myself. And then we'll get into the predictions. But first, sad news hit the wrestling universe last week, as it was revealed that Razor Ramon, Scott Hall, we were hit last week with some really sad news about Scott Hall. After complications from surgery, he suffered 3 heart attacks. And unfortunately, we lost a hero of wrestling, a man who, to be honest, along with a few others, was the blueprint for the current model of wrestling we have today, in many ways.
I mean, it's not hyperbole to say possibly the best wrestler never to hold a world title.
I'd agree with that.
I obviously lived watching wrestling through the 1990s. Nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody, was as cool as Razor Ramon.
Yeah.
And the real tragedy about this is that Scott Hall had actually beaten a lot of his demons. He got his life back onto track, and turned things around, and things were looking promising. And then something like this happens just out of the blue. It was a standard surgery, and there were complications, and that can happen to anybody, and it happened to Scott Hall. I obviously know quite a few wrestling fans online and in person, and genuinely, this is one that's hit really hard. As wrestling fans, we lose people far too often and far too young. But this is actually one that's hit people particularly hard, I think.
Yeah, and again, like you say, it's, any death is a shame anyway, but like you say, he beat his demons, his life was on track, he seemed to have got over a lot of things that plagued him, like you said, in a much better place. Every time he appeared on any kind of TV, whether it was WWE or an interview, he seemed really up for a chat, a lot better. We even saw him not too long ago, I don't think, in an NWO segment, maybe a year or two ago, and yeah, he looked really good. I think as well, he worked with DDP, didn't he? Did he do a bit of, I think he was part of the DDP yoga thing?
Yeah, so he did some work with DDP, yeah.
Obviously, it's been brilliant with a lot of wrestlers, but I want to end this segment, obviously, by saying all our thoughts and prayers go to Scott Hall's family, friends, fans, anyone. But I didn't want to end it with our favourite Razor Ramon Scott Hall moment. I mean, this is a traditional one for me, but I have to go with that ladder match with Shawn Michaels. I'll let you say, unfortunately, I didn't grow up with a lot of Razor in my life as a wrestling fan, but obviously there were those moments you go back to as any wrestling fan just to see when you talk about that moment, your Andre Hogan's, your Hogan versus Warrior, and one of those matches I went back and watched was Shawn versus Razor, the ladder match. And it is one of the best matches I've ever seen. Like, even just from an in-ring standpoint, it is brilliant.
It reinvents the ladder match. It can, the way that the ladder was utilized in that match was something fresh and new at the time. And I think sometimes people don't realize that, because obviously we've seen nearly 30 years of ladder matches post that point. But that was the blueprint for modern singles ladder matches. You know, so many of the spots that you now see were instigated at that point. And of course, the hilarious moment when Sean pulls a Mooner. It's just brilliant. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to get beyond that. I think another one for me is it's another moment that a lot of people talk about, but it's as Razor when he lost to the kid, as it was, Sean Waltman, and like Sean Waltman at the time was like just a fucking jobber, but he beat Razor Ramon and immediately became the 1-2-3 kid. And yeah, they were friends, etc. But it's just one of those things where putting over a little guy, helping to launch somebody's career, even if it's one of your mates, not a lot of wrestlers do that.
No, totally. And
so that was, I think that was a measure of the man as well.
yeah, and I think he's one of those, like you say, was probably the coolest wrestler ever, possibly the first ever cool wrestler as well, because when you look at all the kind of characters that you had back then, a lot of them were kind of over the top sort of people, whereas he was the cool guy. You know, he was the Tony Montana of WWE. So
yeah, I mean, a lot of them were quite kind of cartoonish when they, you had guys like Hogan and Warrior and Savage, and they were outlandish and out there, and it was all very flamboyant. And Razor would just make his way down to the ring and sort of almost have a kind of strut about him, that like a casual strut about him, and it was just, yeah, it was that Tony Montana thing. He very much based the character on Tony Montana, and it was like nothing that had been seen before, really.
Yeah,
and it probably, without that, we probably wouldn't have had the Attitude Era.
Yeah, so it's one of those things that a massive loss. I know Kevin Nash did his own Instagram post. That kind of was the big moment where we knew it was essentially happening. Was where he did it. He said that he's on live sport. His family we're going to wait for his family to arrive, and that's it. Yeah. Which obviously I'm not going to comment on it too much, but must be one of the hardest posts you ever have to do. And that,
yeah, and I mean, everybody knows how tight those two are. Yeah, everybody knows how tight those two were, and they didn't only work together; they travelled together. They were on the road together for decades, and that built up a kind of level of friendship and trust that you just don't find anywhere else. The hours and hours of car journeys and staying in shit hotels and just life on the road as a wrestler it builds bonds. If you read any wrestling autobiography, if you read about the guys that kind of carpool together and travel together, you just read about friendships.
Yeah, I think the modern example of that is possibly one of the best tag teams currently in WWE, the New Day. Obviously, weren't originally a team. They traveled together, and obviously that bond was just created. And then we have the New Day now, also as well, sending best wishes to Big E as well, who I believe it was the SmackDown after we recorded our pod that happened.
Yes. Yeah, and like he's a lucky guy, because like that could be that could not only be a career ender, that could be a life changer. Mm-hmm. We've seen wrestlers take botches like that and come out of it with significant life-changing injuries. He's a lucky guy. I mean, in that situation, I always really kind of feel for the other wrestler as well.
Yeah.
Because like obviously it's a pure accident, it happens, and yeah, I always really and it always takes me back to D'Lo Brown and Darren Drozdov. And obviously that was a situation where Droz was paralyzed, like permanently, and significantly, obviously that's a horrible life-changing thing for him, but it also it changed D'Lo as a performer. It changed D'Lo as a wrestler. His career took a very different path from that point, and he probably lost a fair bit of confidence as a result. So I just hope that everybody involved in that match is being looked after.
Yeah, I agree. And the fact that I think Big E, it might not have been Big E, it might have been Xavier Woods or somebody had to come up and say that, poor old Madcap Moss was getting death threats and stuff. And like you say, it's just, already the guy must feel terrible, as you're saying.
It wasn't Madcap Moss, but it was the guy on the outside.
No, I think it was Moss. It wasn't Pete Dunne.
Okay.
It wasn't Pete Dunne.
I thought it was Pete Dunne, but I might be.
I might be wrong, but I thought it was Madcap Moss.
Yeah.
Whoever it was, just in case, if I'm wrong, whoever it was, don't send him death threats.
Yeah, I mean, shit happens. Shit happens, and when you step into the ring, even the best can make mistakes, and you look at Owen Hart and Steve Austin. Nobody was a better technical wrestler than Owen Hart, but it happens.
Yep.
And wrestlers know the risks, and a wrestler would not blame an opponent for something like that happening. So there is absolutely no reason for fans to start kicking off on someone.
No, totally. And again, I think it's a weird thing to say, but I think Johnny will exactly get what I'm trying to get at. Is this injury showed Big E's personality more than ever. The fact that this man has gone through that and just seems to still be his positive, smiley self. And now, don't get me wrong, I assume there's a lot of moments where he's definitely not that. And obviously, he's not going to put that on camera. But the fact that he can even have a 5-10 minutes or whatever where he's still positive, he's still smiling.
I mean, within 24 hours, there was a video up, and it's like, this guy's going to beat it because he's got the attitude to do so.
The fact that
he'll be back. He'll
absolutely. I mean, it's hard to say whether he'll be back in the ring. We just don't know that yet, and it's obviously very unclear from what we're hearing, mixed reports. But the thing is that Big E, very similar to people like Paige and all that, their personality precedes them. So even if they don't come back in ring regard, they're still going to come back. The fans will want to see Big E back. And you know what? I hope he wins. I hope he comes back. I hope he wins that WWE Championship again because he got fucked over. Very similar to Daniel Bryan. When Daniel Bryan got the redemption, whether it takes him a few years or however long, I hope he's back. He will be back. And we love Big E.
I mean, even if he isn't back in an in-ring capacity, he will be back on screen somewhere. He's too big a personality. He's got too much charisma for them to not keep him on and do something with him.
Totally. We're sending all our thoughts and prayers to Big E as well, and and just we can't wait to see you back, bud, because we love you. It's not the same without you. I can say that there is a massive personality just missing. Because especially over the last 6 to 8 months as WWE champion, I really enjoyed him, even though Vince McMahon kind of shat on him towards the end and just went, "Oh, Brock's here again now. Bye-bye." We still love the guy. So I can't wait to see you back, mate. And take it easy. But that is the let's say the negative part of the podcast over. Now I'll go back to our regular scheduled programming. And I will say this: I played WWE 2K22. I had mixed thoughts, to be honest with you. I think some of it works fine for people like myself with palsy and physical issues, and some of it doesn't. Obviously, like John said the other week, I can only speak from my personal experience. I cannot. So if it doesn't affect you, that's a great thing. I'm happy for you that you get to play. But if it does, then you might say where I'm coming from. For me, the biggest issue is not actually what I thought, which would be the finishers or the pin thing. It's the combos. A lot of this is built on combo block, this kind of combo, heavy combo, pressing this really rapidly, quickly, which is something that I cannot do because they're like, oh, hit square circle X within 3 seconds to achieve this move. Just can't do it. So that is a sort of part of the game that now I just can't really use. I'd only just go for the regular old grapple system and just press a button, which still works. You can still play the game like that. It's not like a game ender. but it is something that obviously they hyped up at this new kind of way of playing with the combos that just there is no way of fixing it. I know you spoke about a couple of weeks ago, John, that in most games they normally do have a thing to simplify those combos that people can do.
Yeah.
In this game, this is not the case. So my move set is very much, I would say it's much more scaled back compared to some moves. But apart from that, I'd say the overall game, it is decent for disability users. The fact that they've now made the finisher button different. It's not X and triangle anymore. It's now one of the trigger buttons and a button.
Yeah.
That's fine. That is more doable than the X triangle of W2K20. So that's good. I will say overall the gameplay is so much better. Like not from an access, but just in general, it's so much fun to play.
Yeah.
You know, it's so, like the fact they got rid of the stupid counter system where you had like limited counters, because that made the match, it made it more realistic, but it made that bloody boring. Like, so you're like, you know, say you're competing against the computer, they get a finisher, they hit you, you have no, you know, you can't do it. But yeah, I say so it's a lot more fun. The wrestlers look great. I mean, some of them, you could look at it and go, that isn't, that could be nothing. GM mode for me, it's a good blueprint of what they want to go for in the future. But the fact that you don't have tag titles, the fact you can't do anything else apart from a one-on-one or tag team match is a bit weird. You know, I understand obviously they focus a lot of things on this game. I'll get to the positives in terms of the game modes in a minute. But yeah, the GM mode, I enjoyed it for what it was. But I think after the draft, you'd rather play universe mode, because at that point, every match is available to you and you could sort of, the world is your oyster there, which is what GM mode should be and will be in a few years' time. But at the minute, it's not quite that. Also, the Rey Mysterio showcase is great because Rey Mysterio is one of those wrestlers that has so many great matches that you can't really go wrong. And I was saying to John the other day, well, yesterday actually, that one of the matches, my first ever wrestling match I watched, which was him versus The Miz in the finals of the WWE Championship tournament. So to be able to go relive that was sick.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, in terms of the wrestlers looking great, there's like 8 different versions of Rey Mysterio, and all of those costumes just look fantastic. You know, so I mean, I'm sort of, I know you skipped to that match in the show reel. I'm kind of going through chronologically, so I've unlocked a few, which is good. It means I've already unlocked HBK. I'm kind of stuck on Batista now because there's a few trickier moves with Batista. But yeah, it's really good. I've not tried the GM mode myself. I'm very much into my faction at the moment, so I'm building up my faction on there and just taking out random other factions of wrestlers and just winning lots of wrestlers into my faction, which I'm thoroughly enjoying.
You've also made yourself in 2K.
Yeah, and I mean the creative stuff is great. I mean, I've made myself, and like a couple of people who don't play wrestling games sort of looked at it and were like, "Fucking hell," you know. Yes, it is just a fat cunt with a flat cap, but it does look like me.
Who is 99? So John was like, make yourself, put an ugly shirt on yourself, which is, you know, I did that today and I did that in game. But so I've done that. I remember myself 80 rated because I wanted to be quite. John was like, yeah, I've just maxed out everything. So if we don't have a match, I'm getting
why
pancaked.
Why would you not max out your stats?
I don't know, because I was thinking of doing a universe mode. Normally when I do my universe mode, I sort of sometimes when I play, I just watch the CPUs do it and sort of make that my GM mode.
I'm going to create myself. I'm going to create myself in a wrestling game, but I'm going to make myself a bit shit.
But yeah, I'd say the game is really good. I've not got into My Rise yet, which is obviously the big mode that I just haven't started. But
I've not tried it yet, actually, either.
So it's going to be exciting to see what that is. I'm happy now though with the 2K ones. I understand why when they first started, they went for like this simulation style, so making it realistic as you go to the performance center, you build your way up. But the issue is that made it really boring for gameplay in terms of it being realistic. So you get booked on shows, because the one thing you want to do in a wrestling game is be part of your own storyline, not just be like, right, you've got to try and work this match with Randy Orton to this level for the crowd. Nah. You want to be involved in a scandal. You want to be like, you know, getting Triple H coming down and being a Paul Heyman guy, and you don't want to have to play it realistically. That's not what wrestling games are for. That's why you watch Raw every week to go, oh, is it this crap? Which, by the way, Raw at the minute is so much better than SmackDown, which is so bizarre to say. But watching the two, I normally do like John does, shims through them a little bit. But there's so much more on Raw that I'm enjoying more than SmackDown at the minute, which is very rare.
Yeah, I mean the Charlotte Ronda stuff's put me off of SmackDown a bit, I've got to say.
Yeah, exactly. I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. But yeah, overall, 2K22 is great, and I've got like a week or so left of my PS Plus. So if me and John do get around to having a couple of games against each other, I'll probably live stream it, and we'll have a little mini tournament, or better, like a best of 5 series or whatever, and see who wins. But yes, John, are you ready to get into predictions for WrestleMania? I'm going to quickly say there are 2 matches that I assume will be added to this card. One of them is
Undertaker versus Giant Gonzalez too.
Electric Boogaloo. No, it's not. One of them is some kind of match with Ricochet. I hope anyway that's going to be added to the card, because new IC champion should get championship defense match at Mania.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously the obvious opponent there would be Sami, but Sami's tied up in another feud.
Yeah, so I hope he doesn't just get dropped. Give him a Mania moment. Put him up against everyone's been released.
A decent upper mid card heel.
Hang on, right. I'm going to look at the SmackDown roster. 2 seconds. I will pitch you a WrestleMania match for
Commander Aziz.
Commander Aziz's Raw. Who is on the SmackDown roster? Cesaro is apparently still there. He's not. So you can get rid of him.
Yeah, I was going to say, could have told him.
I could have told him that. Put him up against Sheamus. Ain't up to anything, is he?
Well, they were kind of feuding with Big E and like the New Day, weren't they? Because that's when Big E got injured.
Oh yeah, good point. Put him up against Jinder Mahal. Ricochet versus. But also there was more wrestling news, John. We found out when Veer is coming. It's not going to be at the Andre Drummond Royal Battle Royal like I thought. It's going to be the night after Mania. Veer is going to come and the crowd are going to pop. So that's exciting. But yeah, we'll talk about that more on our post-Mania show next week, because we normally do wait for the Raw after Mania, because most years it's normally, I think this is going to be even bigger because it's going to be the first Raw after Mania in 2 years where there's actually a crowd. So
yeah, I mean, my favourite Raw after Mania was still, was it 2011 or 12 when Brock came back?
My favourite one was the year after that when Dolph cashed in. But yeah, no, I remember that one. I think they had a good 3-year run of that, because obviously 2012 was the one where Brock came back. 2013 was the one where Dolph cashed in, and then 2014 was the Daniel Bryan, the night after Bryan won everything. So they had quite a good 3-year run there of iconic Raws. Yeah. And obviously the next match that will be on WrestleMania will be some form of Seth Rollins match. Now there was a lot of rumor that it will be
Seth Rollins versus Giant Gonzalez.
That's not what everyone's been talking about, but there is a possibility of Seth Rollins. It's just Giant Gonzalez dead. Is he like the guy? Is he alive? Or?
I was just wondering. I was just wondering that actually. Before we go further down this rabbit hole, let's just check. I mean, there's always a chance. Yes.
Okay, it's not going to be Seth Rollins versus Giant Gonzalez.
22nd of September 2010. R.I.P. Giant Gonzalez.
Absolutely. I mean, it hasn't really. I feel bad for him, man, because he's not got a great history. Let's have Seth Rollins versus the Great Khali. Seth Rollins versus Omos. I don't know.
I mean,
no,
Omos ain't busy.
I think it will be, though, and I think they know this, considering it was acknowledged on Raw. Seth Rollins versus the returning Cody Rhodes. And I'm not just saying that because of the chance and he acknowledged them. The fact that they were like, oh, it's been a nightmare for Seth Rollins lately. His hopes have been dashed. Like they know what they're doing. Obviously, dashing Cody Rhodes, the nightmare Cody Rhodes, things like that. I mean, John, this is big for wrestling because this is the first kind of defection back to WWE from AEW. You know, we talked about there's been a lot of things of Vince McMahon's quite difficult to work for at the minute with the mass releases, and actually AEW is kind of a hub for those kind of wrestlers. So see a defection for the first time. It's interesting to see how Vince is going to treat Cody. We've seen in the past how wrestlers from other companies who come in kind of get shat on. As a sort of lesson. Yeah. Hopefully not with Cody though. I hope.
Yeah, I think because it's a situation where he was in WWE before, you know, and kind of made his name there, and because he's from a wrestling dynasty, I can't see that happening.
Yeah. But Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes in 2022. I mean, obviously Cody left in 2013, 2014, I think, maybe 2015, I don't know. So obviously that was when Seth was in his eve, or you know, his beginning of his character. You know, he hadn't really gone through the mill. He had the authority stuff. Well, he still was kind of very protected. But now these two together, dynamite.
Yeah.
And I actually like the fact as well that Seth Rollins is essentially carrying the feud. You know, I think Seth Rollins is great. Anyway, he gets a lot of stick. I think he's genuinely one of the best on the actual roster these days. Heel or babyface.
Yeah,
I really like him. I think he's a great heel. I think he's very similar to. Well, this is going to be this is kind of ironic, but he's quite similar to Kevin Owens in that fact that he's a very, very good heel, but he's also a really, really good babyface. Like,
yeah, I've always kind of struggled with him a little bit as a babyface. I've got to say, I think he works better as a heel.
Yeah, the issue is that when they give him, I think the issue is that Seth Rollins is very good when he's organic. But we have this weird thing of having to script everything, which is a bit annoying. But like, I see what you mean. I think the moments of like the Rumble when the crowd got behind him and he played babyface for that one match, and then unfortunately, like we said, which we didn't want to happen, was that he just got forgotten about and he never got another match of Roman, which is really sad considering he essentially got fucked over and just sort of forgot about it. After like 2 weeks ago, no, I want my rematch, and Roman laughing it off. But we're here now. He's probably got one of the biggest headline matches of Mania in terms of it's going to be Cody Rhodes' first match back. Obviously it's not an official thing, but if you want my prediction, Cody Rhodes. I've got to say.
Yeah, I mean, it would seem really logical to, you know, that if that is the match and it's Cody's returning match, that Cody would win. Then again, we've had situations before where people have made big debuts at Mania, and you think they're going to win and sting. You know,
I just remembered that. And I remember watching that. Even what was it? 2015 WrestleMania 31.
Yeah.
So I was only what 13 because it was early 2015. And even I remember as a kid going.
Little
little me. I remember even as a 13-year-old going, huh? I was like, what? Because that was recently after I found out wrestling was fake as well. Because obviously being infant me, I didn't realize until around about that time. So even though I was a bit like, but no, poor Sting. But no, I think the world would be in uproar if Cody Rhodes lost his first match.
Yeah, I wouldn't rule it out, but I think Cody probably will beat Rollins if it happens.
Right, let's get on to the main card now. And there are a few extra matches, which is good, some of which I didn't get any of these predictions right. But anyway, here we go. This is an interesting one. It's a triple threat tag team title match at WrestleMania for the Raw brand. It's going to be RK Bro versus the Street Profits versus Alpha Academy. And I have to say, right, Alpha Academy on SmackDown didn't give a toss about them. Couldn't care less. On Raw with the Street Profits and RK Bro, much better. Much better.
I think they're getting a bit more camera time. They're getting a little bit more focus. You know, so we're getting to see a bit more of the comedic aspect of Gable and Otis. It's working. It's worked really well. I can see him possibly nicking this one, because I think that this could possibly be the start of the split of RK Bro.
Yeah, I can see it. Who the question is, who would you give it to? I'd give it to Alpha Academy personally.
Yeah, I can see him nicking this one. And running with the belts for a bit, because obviously they held the belts quite recently anyway. But yeah, I can see him running with this one.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you that RK Bro are going to lose. Actually, I'm going to agree with you. I think Alpha Academy is who I'm going to go with. My thing is that I want it to be heel Riddle, and here's my reasoning. I think heel Randy Orton is better than face Randy Orton, but I think if you do it heel Randy versus face Riddle, for that feud, it would be good, and then Riddle would just go back to being meh again. Whereas if you turn Riddle heel for a bit, that would liven it up, and that would change it. Like every single matchup he would have then would be so different.
I mean, the thing is, Randy's so good at being a heel that you end up rooting for him anyway. You end up cheering. You end up cheering for him anyway. So yeah, if I were to do it, I would. Everybody expects that when they split, it's going to be Randy turning on Riddle, and you're going to get heel Randy. Yeah, I would do it the other way around.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Literally, can you imagine? Right, they're losing the belts. They're being interviewed backstage, and Randy gets a super kick and then gets thrown through a window.
A barbershop. My God, Michael. I don't know why JBL's on commentary, but he's back. Let's hope not.
I don't know why he's using his commentary from Hell in a Cell, but my God, that killed him. As God is my witness, he's broken in half.
For the love of mankind.
It's just the possibly the best line of wrestling commentary ever. You watch that and just the way you go, that killed him, and it's just like, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Jim Ross will never be topped. Will never be topped.
Yeah, I mean that's the way I do it. That's the way they lose the belts, and in the aftermath, Randy gets a scooter wrapped around his head or something.
That would be amazing. I mean, I think as well, heel Riddle would be incredible because
over the last, we all know what my opinion of Riddle was. Over the last year, nobody had won me over more than Riddle. I've not called him a bleep word in a long time.
Yeah, and I think as well. I think it was last year we had the surprise. Well, I didn't think it was a surprise match. I knew it'd be good. Sheamus, I think he faced for the US title, and there was the bro kick, the spinny bro kick, where I think he went for a moonsault and Sheamus caught him. Great, There
was also the skit with Rob Van Dam backstage, wasn't there? And I was like, I'm starting to like this guy.
Yeah, exactly. It was great, and I think he has been great. And RK Bro have been great as well.
Yeah, it's that classic thing of like two wrestlers that you wouldn't necessarily put together, but it just works. It very much reminds me of the Rock and Sock connection in the late 90s, early noughties. Two guys that you wouldn't really put together in a tag team, but it just worked.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think overall I'm excited for the feud afterwards, but I think, like you say, go the opposite route. Don't go the obvious route. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think that'd be great.
Spin it on its head a bit. Give us heel Riddle.
Yeah, totally. And I think another thing that would I think as well, make this match actually a triple threat. Don't do the weird thing where two members of one, it's one-on-one and the one team's on the outside. That always baffles me because it makes no sense. Like, why would you tag in the other team? And then
triple threat tag matches are weird because why would you tag in anybody but your partner?
Yeah.
I remember watching one I think it was the late 90s, and the New Age Outlaws were in one. And like both of the other teams tagged in a member of the New Age Outlaws. So at one point it was like Road Dogg and Billy Gunn in the ring together as illegal men, and it's like, well, they're tag partners. They're not going to start beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those bizarre things. So yeah, make it a legitimate triple threat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement there. Alpha Academy for the W. But let's do the other one. Let's do the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. It's going to be the Usos versus Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs. I'm gonna say this. Rick Boogs is really silly, but I love him. I love Rick Boogs. I think Boogs is great. Surprisingly great with Shinsuke Nakamura as well, who is possibly one of the best wrestlers ever, who is now literally in a tag team with one of the silliest wrestlers ever. And it works. Like, I understand that Shinsuke Nakamura isn't having 5-star classic matches, but the dude's nearing 40. He's earning a lot of money. Clearly, he's quite happy just sitting there at the tag division.
Yeah. And I kind of fancy them to win the belts off of the DUI brothers.
Fair
Sorry.
enough. No, it's fair. No, it's fair. It's fair. No, it's fair.
Oh, I mean, I'm going to say worse about one or two other people in this podcast. Don't worry.
Yeah, exactly. It's fair. Like, this is the thing. We're not going to get into this thing about it, but the Usos, I love them as wrestlers. People do questionable things.
Clearly a pair of absolute knobs.
But yeah, no, I'm going to go with the Usos on this one to actually the W.
Don't drink and drive. Don't drive under the influence, kids. It like you. Every time you do that, you literally run the risk of ruining somebody's life.
Yep.
And you know, I know people that have had their lives ruined by drink drivers. You know, so yeah, don't do that. And hey, WWE, if people do that several times, don't give them a fucking tag belt.
It's fair. It's fair. We're going to move swiftly on to the match that I don't really care about.
Now that really nice lawyers are listening.
Drew McIntyre versus Happy Corbin. I mean, do you know what? It's not going to happen, but I'm going to pick Happy Corbin just because I don't care, and actually that would surprise me a bit. And I like the guy. Like we spoke about a couple weeks ago. I think he's brilliant. So give him a WrestleMania win. Do it.
I care about it because I want to see Happy Corbin get the shit beaten out of him. So I'm going Drew McIntyre.
Okie dokie.
That's what good heels are all about, isn't it? So you get the shit kicked out of them. Plus, I think they need to build up some momentum for Drew because I think that big things.
Okay, they've announced what days.
I think that big things are coming in a few months.
Okay, they've announced what day things are on.
Yeah, they've announced what's on the Saturday, what's on the Sunday, mate.
Okay, I didn't realize this. Okay, so so far Sunday is Raw based by the looks of it, and Saturday is SmackDown based. Okie dokie.
I mean, with the exception of the main events, I think isn't Bex and Bianca on the Saturday?
Let's have a look.
We'll be back with you. Kids, man, look something up on the internet.
So the two women's matches are on the Saturday, which is interesting. Okay. And then the KO show is on Saturday. Edge and Styles is the second main event on Sunday. Then Knoxville's on the Sunday.
Yeah, so they've mixed it up a little bit.
Yeah. So it's going to be exciting. I think at the end of it, we will pick which day looks better than the other. I suppose we'll do that, a little mini game.
Cool.
The next match though is a match that on paper I didn't give a shit about, and then there was a great promo on Friday, and now I'm all for it. Pat McAfee, one of the nicest guys in WWE, taking on Austin Theory, one of the biggest dickheads in WWE. Look, I love Pat McAfee. He's a commentator that can actually go. He is so underrated these days on the commentary booth. I think he's a modern day brilliant commentator because you can tell he's not playing a character. He loves this. This is his wheelhouse. You can tell he's loving being in a wrestling feud. He's so organically likable. Is he the best in the ring? No. But do you know what? He's so endearing, and Austin Theory is the complete opposite of that. This match actually works. And I'm all for it. I don't know about yourself, John, but I'm all for this.
When I was testing out my 99 rated created wrestler, super smooth John Cook, I tested him out against Austin Theory because I wanted to beat the shit out of Austin Theory. So yeah, I really want to see him lose to a fucking commentator.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as well. I don't know if you saw the promo that he did recently, where he essentially they did what I this is the one prediction I got right. They did the promo where Austin Theory was like, "You're not a wrestler, I'm gonna beat the crap out of you," and Pat McAfee came back. And he's like I said, he's so organic on the microphone because you can tell he just enjoys what he's doing. It comes naturally to him.
Yeah.
You know, you could say, like when he's commentating, he's very similar to someone like Mauro Ronaldo, who used to be on NXT. He just loved to watch it. He'd say what he thought. You know, obviously, he'd be given guidelines to say certain things, be pro this person, be anti that person, I suppose. But you could tell that what he was saying was organic. You could tell when he was excited about a spot, he was legitimately excited.
Yeah.
You know, he's one of those people that gets it. He enjoys it. He enjoys having that job. And him and Michael Cole, I think, are a genuinely underrated pairing. I think that is possibly some of the best Michael Cole's done in his entire career. They work so well with each other.
Yeah, I always liked Cole with Lawler because, you know, the way they bounced off each other was obviously really good. But they do actually work really well together, yes.
Yeah, and I think we where we go from here with Pat McAfee, I don't know. But he had a match on Cole in NXT, and it was really good. So, yeah, I rate it.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough one to call because obviously Vince likes Austin Theory, and they want to they're trying to get behind him and give it a bit of sort of momentum behind him. You know, he was the last guy eliminated in the Elimination Chamber, and clearly they're looking to sort of push him for quite big things. So, are they really going to have him lose this? Possibly.
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, I would say yeah.
Because I think as well, this doesn't really hurt Theory too much. I mean, I could see him being somebody this year that wins Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
I think he's the perfect someone to
I
hold
think
Money in the Bank.
Yeah, I think it's a decent point at which they could give him a loss and develop the character slightly as a result of it.
Yeah.
And put him on a bigger path. So yeah, I can see him losing this. And I'll be very happy to see it.
Absolutely. We shall move on to the match that I genuinely couldn't give a damn about. Which is unfortunate because a lot of them are great in here. It is the women's tag team title championship match thing with your women's tag team champions Zelina Vega and Carmella versus Sasha Banks and Naomi. Okay, Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan and Natalia and Shayna Baszler. Why?
Give a damn about it.
Not particularly. Well, none of them are tag teams. They've all been thrown together. To be honest with you, I hate to say it. I'd much rather it be a.
Carmella and Zelina Vega are a legit tag team. They've been knocking around together for a while.
I'd rather it would have been an 8-person like Elimination Chamber style match or something.
No, I like the idea of it being a 4 corners tag match because I'm going for my girl.
You're going to go for Liv to get a dub.
I'm going for my girl. I'm going for Rhea and Liv. You know, I can't wait to see Liv Morgan with gold around her waist. It would look beautiful.
I would agree. I wish it was the sparkly red belt, but yeah, like I said, like the thing is, like, the reason I don't come out of this match is because why are these teams earned a chance at the tag team titles? Why are they together? What is the like?
Well, because they don't actually have any female tag teams. That they sacked the Iconics. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I know.
You know. So I hate the fact that I have to bring that up.
Yeah,
it still hurts.
But the best thing is that the Iconics have now gone on to shove it in Vince's face and are now doing amazingly on in Impact and wherever they go next as the inspiration. But that's the thing, John. I'm not saying why have they chosen these 8. I'm saying that these 8 shouldn't be in a tag team title championship match. I'm saying that Sasha Banks and Naomi. Since when? I'm saying Rhea Ripley was in a tag team 2 months ago with somebody else.
Yeah. Then they split, didn't they? But,
and then they split, and then she's not on the card. I'd much rather see a Rhea versus Nikki ASH singles bout. I want to care about the women's tag team championships, but I'm not going to care until WWE care. Personally, that's how I see it.
Well, if Liv wins, if Liv wins this, then I will care.
I'll go with Sasha and Naomi because, yeah. I want it to be Liv, but I don't see Rhea Ripley holding it again.
I'm going with my heart. I'm going with my heart. I don't care.
Okay, here we go. Rey Mysterio.
Where the fuck's Alexa Bliss in all this?
She's not.
What? Why haven't they just stuck Liv with Alexa Bliss? That would have been a great team.
You could have had Nikki and Alexa Bliss come back together. That would have made sense. Make it a 5-person tag team. Oh, well. Anyway, more tag team shenanigans at WrestleMania. Rey and Dominic Mysterio versus The Miz and Logan Paul. I really like this match. Do you know what? I'm really enjoying Logan Paul in WWE. He's a bit of an asshole, but at the end of the day, he's playing an asshole, so I can enjoy that aspect. Very, very opposite to The Miz. The Miz is playing an asshole, but actually seems like a very lovely bloke. So very opposite. Versus the Mysterios, who I really like. I think Dominic could have done with some time in NXT personally, not to work on his wrestling. His wrestling's pretty solid. His personality is a bit, but he's getting there, and he will get there.
Yeah,
he's a young lad. However, I do see him losing at WrestleMania to The Miz and Logan Paul, which is unfortunate to say. But there are reports that Logan Paul will be sticking around in WWE. This is not a one and done. He's going to appear to be an on-screen talent, and I assume if you can do that, you're going to want to build him up with a win. So I'm going to go with The Miz to win this.
I'm going the other way. I'm going for the Mysterios to win this. You know, Ray's on the cover of 2K22. They've just released 2K22. They're looking to market it. Give him a win. Give him a Mania moment.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, they'll push a few more copies as a result.
Good point. Yep.
Sounds cynical to say it, but
no, it's factually it's what wrestling is. It's a business at the end of it, isn't it? So yeah, you're not saying anything out.
We had a zombie match last year just to promote a film,
and the film was shit.
The film was great.
I didn't enjoy it.
I watched it I watched it the day after my second COVID jab, but I loved it.
Maybe I'm just not a fan of Zack Snyder. I don't know. Maybe Zack Snyder's just not for me.
I mean, it's fucking Batista and a load of zombies in Las Vegas.
I'm sorry. Yeah, well, everyone good. Anyway, we'll go on to this match, which I generally cannot tell you what's going to happen because one of the men, and this is batshit. It's Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn in an anything goes match. Anything, literally anything can go in this. It's Johnny Knoxville. He's going to do something ridiculous.
Yeah, we should see some good spots in this.
Yes.
Good spots in this.
I can see some run-ins as well from some of the Jackass crew.
Yeah, I think Sami's probably going to lose this one.
Yeah, this is going to be I think this will be a palate cleanser, won't it? They've just had a really technical match on the Sunday, probably Edge versus AJ or something, and this will come afterwards to sort of keep the crowd invested, but let them calm down a bit, sort of thing. Yeah. Overall, though, yeah, I think this is one of the easy ones to predict. I think Knoxville's going to win after essentially Sami did get the better of it at the Rumble, in a sense.
Yeah.
With him being eliminated and stuff. I think this time it'll be the other way around. I love this feud. The fact that it's essentially been all off TV as well, because obviously Knoxville's very busy, so he's not been able to really do much on television. So they kind of had him, the whole phone number leak thing where Sami Zayn's phone has not stopped ringing for weeks because they actually leaked a number which leads you to Sami Zayn. No, it's not his real phone number, obviously. It's obviously a number that his phone that he's got, been given with that number, so he can be like, but brilliant. I think that's a brilliant way of doing it. People trolling Sami Zayn. Look, I think as well, I want this. It sounds horrible. I love Sami as a heel, but I want this sort of be the beginning of the end of the heel Sami Zayn thing, because I eventually do want him to go back to being that amazing babyface that we all know he can be. I've loved the whole conspiracy thing, but I think it's sort of ran its course now a little bit, and I want him to go back to being that really good underdog from the underground wrestler. Now
it's kind of like the Rollins thing. He's damn good at it.
But
He's
I
damn
would say,
good.
unlike Rollins, he is very, very good as a face as well. Like, very good.
He is, but he is very good at being a face, but he's damn good at being a heel. And there is an element of if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and I think there's still some mileage in it.
I wouldn't mind him still being a heel. It's just the fact that he doesn't really get to wrestle much. Like, and by that I mean like when he's like fixing with like a big time match, he's a bitchy heel. I want him to go. Maybe it's just kind of misface. I mean, I've been watching some 2014 NXT where he's like literally at the peak of his baby face stuff. He does stuff with Kevin Owens where he was like pure face. I love it, like because I think he's great, and obviously I want him to kind of have that one run as the baby face with the main belt. Because I think he can be a Daniel Bryan type where
Of course he can.
and I'd love to see it. But yeah, I think he's going to lose this one to Knoxville. But yeah, I think it's going to be fun. I can't say what's going to happen. I can't even predict because Johnny Knoxville is mental. So there could be anything that happens in there. It's called Anything Goes for a reason. It's not called No Disqualification. It's literally called Anything Goes because anything could happen. So they've not even called it No DQ. They've called it Anything Goes. So that's mental. But now let's talk about the potential match of the night. It's Edge versus AJ Styles. Interesting as well. Because this was obviously we're talking about that one match that needs to get us Mania hyped. The match, by the way, this WrestleMania card has a lot of potential on it. Looking at it now it's kind of formed lots and lots of potential. I'm very excited for the 2 nights. This match though is one of those that I hope goes well because it's one of those that you do have that expectation of this should be a great match. You're going in thinking that's going to be great. And I hope it will be. I think it will be. These two are great. Edge is a heel. Finally, I love face Edge, but I think he was running a bit stale in terms of this. Oh, I need one chance to do this. Now he's back to that heel again. I'm excited. He had his little bit with Beth Phoenix and The Miz, which was great fun. But yeah, heel Edge versus face, but AJ Styles. AJ Styles is one of those that I just don't like as a heel. I think he's good at it, but I think he's one of those people that is just so much better as babyface. That like it's sort of
I'd agree.
When he is heel, he's fine, but you want to get behind it as well because his moveset's so face orientated with like the forearm, the 450 splashes, that when you take that away from his arsenal a little bit, it's sort of, it doesn't become boring to watch because he's AJ Styles. But
he's all about getting people excited,
Yeah. So this match though, I'm going to go. I feel bad for AJ because I'm going to go for an Edge win here.
Yeah, I would do the same. Actually, I mean, obviously, you lost at Mania last year. So yeah, I can see him doing the business here. It wouldn't necessarily be the end of the feud, but yeah, I can see him getting a win here.
Yeah, totally. I can see getting a win, and I think it's much going to be great. I wonder if we're going to see AJ Styles disappear for a bit after this match, because I assume this new again, I think this is just coming off of nothing, but I assume this new heel Edge character might get rid of some people for a little bit. There might be something after the match or something. I just feel like this is going to be an Edge that you cannot trust, sort of thing. And I feel like, but yeah, I'm going to give an Edge on this one. Should be great. The feud's been really fun. It's going to be a great match. I'm excited. But coming up next, I don't know what the hell this is. Stone Cold Steve Austin is going to confront Kevin Owens at the KO show, but they're kind of talking about it like it's a match. So I don't know if it's going to be a match. What the hell's going to happen? Will it be a KO show that will turn into a match? Or
I don't think it's going to be a match. I don't think Austin's going to hit Kevin Owens because although he's got boobs, he's a man. I told you I'd say worse about other people. I mean, I was raised. I loved wrestling in the late 90s. I loved the Attitude Era. It's probably when I was most into my wrestling. I loved Stone Cold Steve Austin. There is no getting past the fact that this man is a domestic abuser. And, it's like the Hogan racism thing. We're all just supposed to fucking forget about it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It's like, oh, we're in Texas. We got to bring Stone Cold back. But you don't.
It's like
there's other guys from Texas that KO could have called out.
Yeah.
Hey, Shawn Michaels, come out here. Booker T, come out here and get interviewed.
Can you dig it? Yeah, it's like, I mean, I remember the one being really awkward when they brought Hulk Hogan back with Titus O'Neil.
Literally last year.
So not only did they go, oh yeah, we're going to bring Hulk Hogan back, but we're literally going to put him with Titus O'Neil.
To prove he's not racist, we're going to stand him next to a black guy.
We're going to stand him next to literally one of the nicest fucking men on the planet.
No, it's probably that's probably what they're doing here with like Austin and Kevin Owens. Is like, well, to prove he's not a wife beater, we're going to stand him next to somebody with tits. I did spot you having a drink when I said that. That's why I deliberately did it.
Oh God. It killed him.
That killed him.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm excited to see Austin. You know, it'd be great to see him back in the ring, but it does leave a really bad taste.
I know, I agree with you.
You know, because he was fucking sacked for beating his wife.
And as he should have been.
You know, yeah, absolutely, as he should have been. You know, and let's not forget, when referring to it in his autobiography, he said, for legal reasons, I can't talk about what happened that night with Deborah. However, I consider it to be my most successful marriage because she's the only one I never cheated on. What a fucking lovely guy.
Oh God. We have to move on here. Right, we'll go for this match next.
Before we get taken off the air, yeah.
Because this match I don't care about, and there are two matches I do care about. We'll do this one. The SmackDown Women's Championship between Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey. I like neither of these people, so anyone can win. I wouldn't give a toss either way, but it's going to be Ronda Rousey, isn't it?
Yeah, I kind of wish somebody just had a Money in the Bank briefcase to cash in afterwards, but
they give it to Liv Morgan.
But yeah, it's going to be Ronda Rousey. Hopefully it won't last for very long. Hopefully Bayley comes back really soon, kicks her ass and wins a belt or something, or Sasha wins it. You know, just anyone but one of these two. But yeah, it's going to be Ronda Rousey. They wouldn't have had her come back and win the Rumble if she wasn't going to do this. And like they've tried really hard to invest people in this because, you know, they've had them put each other through fucking tables and do submission challenges and all kinds of things. And it's like, no, it's still... Charlotte is a very good technical wrestler, but it's like the thing they had with Roman a few years ago, where when somebody is pushed at you so hard, you just go, no, thank you. Ronda's a personality vacuum.
Yep.
I cannot get behind either of them.
Here's my thing, right? Is we were talking about Pat McAfee about half an hour ago, right? About somebody who wants to be there.
Might actually switch over to Babe Station while this one's on.
Is that still going? I thought that stopped ages ago. Is that still going? I thought it finished ages ago.
I'm assuming so.
I'm keeping it in, by the way. You're not getting rid of that. You're keeping that in. But
maybe we should ask our dear friend Reese Jenkins.
Yes. I love that Reese Jenkins has been on the show, but we've made more chaps at him in the last 3 weeks but yeah, good on Reese Jenkins. But yeah, we talked about Pat McAfee about half an hour ago. Somebody who loves to be in WWE, gets WWE. Ronda Rousey's the complete fucking opposite. And I'm sorry, but her attitude fucking stinks. If you're a wrestler and you're annoyed that people are booing you legitimately in real life, to the point where when somebody like Michael Rotunda, Bray Wyatt got released, and you essentially blame the fans because of that, go fuck yourself. When everyone was going, oh, Bray Wyatt should have been released, you know, and she goes, well, if you cheered him a bit more, then he would have stayed. Fuck off. It's wrestling. It's fake. If you want to boo somebody.
Did she genuinely say that about Wyatt?
Yes. Yeah.
How fucking tone deaf is that?
Yeah. And then,
Bray Wyatt was released because he was suffering from fucking depression following the death of one of his best friends.
Exactly.
Right, actually, I do now care about this match, and I'm going to be cheering on Charlotte. She won't win, but I'll be cheering her on.
among other things as well. There was stuff that's been coming out, which, by the way, obviously not confirmed. So before laws get on my ass, this is alleged. But when she came back to the WWE, her attitude stink backstage. People came up to try and talk to her. She didn't want anything about it. So after she won the Rumble, she said, "I don't want to be any face." WWE said, "We brought you back as a face. You have to endear yourself to the crowd." You can tell she doesn't like it.
Mate, don't worry. If there are lawyers listening, they're going to come after me before they fucking come after me.
But yeah, no, look, I'm not saying
I'm saying that about Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I'm not
just
saying
just because a man beats his wife once doesn't make him a wife beater.
But yeah, I have to say, I'm not saying you have to enjoy your job because a lot of people out there that sometimes find their jobs very difficult, and that is
just fine. Because somebody gets caught DUI 3 times doesn't make him a pretty driver.
This makes him a problematic one. But yeah, I'm not saying you have to enjoy your job. But don't be so up your own arse that wrestling fans boo you because you're a heel.
At the end of the day, mate, there are people in the wrestling business and millions of people outside of the wrestling business that would kill to be in the spot that Ronda is in now. If she's not fucking happy with that, she can fucking do one.
Yeah, agreed. Now we'll switch up Rhodes and go to two people that are genuinely diamonds. Let's talk about the Raw Women's Championship match. Big time Bex taking on Bianca Belair. And I still don't care about this match because I don't really like big time Bex all that much. Because again, the issue is Becky's a decent heel, right? But the man was such a good character. And John, you told about if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
This is still something that baffles me.
I mean, I still want them to add a step to this. I still want a hair versus hair match.
It'd be great, wouldn't it?
Well, I mean, Becky's going to lose. And, they could give her not like a proper job, but they could give her a shorter hairstyle, make her a bit more spiky and, bit of a kind of image change. And that would really cement the heel thing, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I still kind of want either the hair versus hair, or even like I said, the 2 out of 3 falls, kind of go back to how quick the first fall was in the last match.
Yeah.
I understand obviously it might not be the most fun of steps, but I think in terms of storytelling, it's one of the best ones out there. Or even an Iron Woman match or something. Because I know it's Mania, so you're not going to get an Iron Woman match, but I'd just say go for it.
I mean, for me, there is a possibility of this going the other way and Bianca winning it in like 28 seconds.
I hope not.
So do I, but I can see the possibility. I can see it's a distinct possibility.
I agree.
Because they have made quite a big deal of the SummerSlam match.
Yeah.
They would see it as a form of redemption, wouldn't they?
I think you're right with that. I think, yeah.
I don't want to do it. I'd hate to see it, but it's a concern that I have about this one that we might not be too long.
Yeah, and I think I get because I know you don't agree with it, but I think it'd be. I think we both have in the same boat. That would be a shame because these two could go and have a really good match. And the crowd would love it.
They could give us a good 20-25 minute match.
Oh yeah, totally. And I think overall, I'm going to go with Bianca to get the W here. Although I would like to see Bex just keep it because I do like Becky Lynch. Even as I still enjoy big time Bex. I just don't enjoy it as much as the man because I thought the man was those characters that. Yeah. It sort of feels, I don't know how to describe it. Like, when sometimes heel turns feel organic and it sort of goes, you can see how that face character became that heel character, or you can see how that heel character. This one feels like this is the antithesis of who she was, like the complete opposite.
Yeah.
You're like, what?
And with the man, that was something that was very organic and very crowd driven.
Yeah.
It wasn't the way that the company wanted to go, but it was what the fans wanted, so they went there.
I mean, you could even the Daniel Bryan heel turn in 2018, 19, that was organic because even though he was the biggest babyface, the fact that he came back and hadn't managed yet to win the big one again, hadn't been able to actually rekindle that championship win. So he felt he had to cheat. And then he obviously just was like, oh yeah, I'm the best. You used to love me. Why don't you love me now? That's an organic heel turn. Becky Lynch going,
that was the most organic heel turn of all because they gave him a belt made out of fucking hemp.
the heavyweight championship. I think it looked great as well.
It did. But yeah, that was certainly organic.
But like the thing for me is I don't mind Becky Lynch being a heel. It's the fact that they've entirely changed the character again. Like the man was somebody who would fight anyone at any point, and then she becomes big time Becky. She's like, I don't want to fight this week. No, it's like, how can you go from one to the other? I don't mind you being a dickhead and fighting everyone. We've seen that before, but don't just like it just felt really bizarre and it felt reactionary because I guarantee they didn't think like I mean the reports were Vince didn't expect the fans to boo the SummerSlam thing, which is really weird. But you know, I don't know. I love both these people. I'm gonna love the match. I hope this is the main event of night one. It won't be. It'll be the Stone Cold thing.
It'll be Charlotte or Ronda.
I think it'll be Stone Cold, but
no, I don't think that'll be a legit match. So I think it'll be, yeah, it will either be Charlotte and Ronda or Stone Cold. Either way, you're going to see a woman getting hit.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let it lie.
Oh no! I just said yep to that. I didn't realise what you just said.
I'm not going to let it lie.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Sorry, Vince, what the actual fuck?
It's just I realised what you said, and then I'm like, I'm not laughing at the fact that, by the way, I want to clarify it. I don't find the Stone Cold stuff funny. It was one situation. Don't cancel me. But let's move on to. I'm going to say this. I hate to, not to decrease any of the women's matches, but to the main event of WrestleMania. The winner take all match. Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. I'm saying this now. This is the most I've ever been invested in a Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns match ever because Brock Lesnar is genuinely a great babyface because they've actually allowed him to do his mic skills rather than just letting Paul Heyman talk to him. I don't hate Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman's one of the best talks in the business. But we're finally seeing Brock Lesnar's character. And it is great. I love Farmer Brock Lesnar. I think it's sick. And I love this. I like Roman Reigns as a heel. I think he's great. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason this is the main event, and it's because actually both of these guys are on fucking fire and have been for some time.
Yeah. And I think this is the first time the crowd are going to give a shit about Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns.
And is it just me, or is this really, really tough to call?
I think it's really tough to call.
I mean, I'm going to call it. I think I know what way it's going, but it's a really tough call.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I'm thinking to myself, obviously at the start of the feud, I was so heavy. It's Roman definitely W. He's definitely getting the W. Now, though, I'm not so sure. But I am still going to go with Roman Reigns as the victor because I think there's more mileage in that. My issue is that who does he face? Because he's sort of beaten everyone. So
I'm sticking with Roman. I think he will hold the belt for a little while longer. I think he drops to Drew at SummerSlam.
Okay.
Drew, Vince will not have forgotten how Drew carried the company for a fucking year. And at some point, he will give him that big win for the belt in front of a crowd.
Okay. No, I'm with you on that. I think that's a fair way of looking at it.
Overall. Yeah, I'm thinking Roman here, which is good because it means if you're getting Roman as dual champion, you're getting him on Raw and SmackDown, which means that actually he's going to get some different opposition coming at him from the Raw side as well. So you've got 2 rosters worth of guys to take him on. And that's the other reason that I'm doing this, because if Brock was to win, Brock barely turns up on 1 show a week. He ain't going to be turning up on 2.
Yeah, that's fair. So that is our predictions for WrestleMania. But I will say now, we'll quickly go through the 2 nights, John.
Okay.
We will pick. So night 1, there seems to be a free slot because there's 5 matches on night 1. There are 6 on night 2. Obviously, as we're filming this,
I think they've also said that the Owens Austin thing is going to be on night 1.
So there might not be a free slot, but there might be. Who
But
knows?
yeah, I mean, we don't know if there's a match or whatever, but it's
But we are filming this on the 23rd of March, so there is still a SmackDown to go, well, 2 SmackDowns to go, and 1 Raw left
yeah.
before Mania. So there's forever the chance of there being a match added. But night 1 so far, we'll have that segment with Stone Cold. We'll have Becky versus Bianca, the Mysterios versus Miz and Logan Paul, McIntyre versus Corbin, Usos versus Nakamura and Boogs, Charlotte versus Ronda. And night 2 will have the Women's Tag Team Championship match, Johnny versus Sami, Pat versus Austin, RK Bro versus the Street Profits versus Alpha Academy, Edge versus Styles, and Lesnar versus Reigns. I'm loving the look of both nights, but night 2, for me, looks stronger the two.
Yeah, I think the Sunday does it for me. It's got probably the 2 biggest matches that I'm most invested in terms of Brock Roman and Edge AJ. It's also the 2 tag matches. I'm actually quite invested in that women's tag match, you know, and the RK Bro match. I can't wait to see that because I think shit is going to go down.
Yeah, I think overall this Mania looks really good. I mean, I'm still in 2 minds about the 2-night thing. I think it's great in terms of the viewing experience, but I still don't know how. Like, does it decrease Mania? I don't think it does. I think it really depends about how equal they level the nights. I think this is something that they might not have got entirely correct here. I think it really depends on who they put on last. I hope you're right, and I hope they do put one of the women's matches on last. But I just have that feeling that the Stone Cold thing is going to go on last, and whatever
I mean,
it is.
if it means not sitting up until 7 a.m., I'm happy.
Yeah, exactly. But also before we do what we'll do is we'll do an outro. But first of all, say thank you to everyone who has been watching the podcast recently. We have hit interesting numbers, which have been mental. The Batman is the 2nd most popular podcast ever within the time it's been uploaded. So thank you to those who have watched that. Our WrestleMania booking, that one did really well in the first couple of weeks, which is mental for the wrestling ones. Normally they are quite popular, but they're not as popular. So thank you to those that watched that, engaged with that, enjoyed that. We might keep it up for SummerSlam and things, who knows, because that was quite a bit of fun to do. And the next time we'll make sure that Jono has time to prep for that as well, so he can come in with his own things that he would like to see. And as well, as you know, me and John are forever going to be back reviewing Mania. But what we will normally do for Mania is we wait until the Raw after WrestleMania to do our review, just in case, because otherwise, as well, we have to fit it in on the recording on the Monday. And if we're going to film it early week, we must wait for Raw to be over, because normally when there's a crowd there, the Raw after WrestleMania is a lot of fun. So why wouldn't we want to talk about that? Because we know Veer is coming, but there's potential of someone like a Tommaso Ciampa, or even Cody Rhodes if he's not on Mania. That's when he could show up, or anybody else, Bailey. Anyway, there's so much potential there.
I mean, you get to see Liv Morgan showing off her new tag belt.
Exactly, especially in Jono's land. I think I went with Shasta and Naomi, didn't I? But yes, thank you very much all for watching this. And also in terms of the next podcast, I think it's Time Flight. I think so. That should be fun. I think it's been 3 weeks since the last Doctor Who one, so I think it is Doctor Who time once again.
Didn't we do that a week early to swap around with something?
We might have done. So it might
You might have a 5-week gap.
So
I don't know. Look at your schedule.
So yeah, we've already had 4 podcasts already. So yeah, you're right. It would be 5 weeks. So it will be time for Time Flight next week as well. So not only will you get the WrestleMania review, John will have to try and fit in Time Flight somewhere that week as well.
Oh, joy of joys.
So actually, I suppose Time Flight will come out on the Monday. So Time Flight would technically be out before the Mania review. So Time Flight's already out. Not now, but it will be out before the review. You know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, please do go follow Jono and your boy _Cook. Go follow me. It's called Dommy for the podcast at the Timeless Pod. And we shall see you guys on soon for a review of WrestleMania. But before that, there will be Time Flight. Great.
Before I do my outro, I'm just going to mention something that Alex hasn't mentioned. But I'm going to mention it. Obviously, you just had my Twitter handle read out there. There is currently a GoFundMe to get our dear co-host here, Mr. Alex Kingdom, out to Los Angeles next year to attend Galley 1. Obviously, for Alex being in a chair, etc., there are additional costs in terms of getting him out there. that we're hoping to be able to get people to contribute to in order to cover it. Part of the deal is that if we get out there, we're going to try to do a timeless pod from LA, covering a bit of Galley 1. So if you'd like to hear that, do take a little look at the GoFundMe, which I'll be tweeting, and I'm going to be encouraging Alex to tweet from the Timeless Pod account. Obviously, it's up to him. I know he's a little bit embarrassed about it. But yeah, I thought I'd just mention it here because obviously this is a platform and you all know us. You get to listen to Alex every week. And yeah.
Yeah, I will put that in the description because now I feel, I know you've mentioned it was on Twitter, but since you've been lovely enough to mention it here, I will pop it in the description. Like I said, it's a weird thing for me, and I will say this before anybody else. I want to say thank you to anyone who does watch this and has donated already, because that is insane that anyone would donate money. I know, obviously, Johnny donated a lovely, lovely sum, which I will never be able to say thank you enough for. But, you know, anyone that donates, so whether you're about to donate after listening to this, thank you. It does mean the world to me. Like Jonah said, I do feel a bit weird about it. But again, though, I think anybody would in my position because you're asking me for money to go something.
That's why I mentioned it, because I kind of knew you weren't going to.
So. But yes, thank you all. If we can make it happen, I'm telling you, by God, if there's not a live Timeless Pod, there will be a vlog and everything like that. And I'll try and give all the thanks back, and I will try and show you what I got up to say thank you. So you know, but yes, please do like and subscribe. Me and John will be back. We'll be seeing a lot more John in the next few weeks as well, because Endgame's on the horizon. The big episode 100 is forever vastly approaching as well, which I'm so very excited about. It's going to be
Cook
great.
versus Marshall. I'm not saying any more, but you will get to see Cook versus Marshall in a capacity.
Yes, indeed. So make sure to check out that. But like I said, one more time, thank you to everyone that has jumped on the show recently, because our viewership's gone up. Everything's looking great. And I'll tell you what, over the past few weeks, about John obviously been on, but these last few podcasts have been the most fun to do. Seems like we're in a good stride of podcasts right now. Seems like every episode, it keeps getting better and better. And yeah, I can't wait for next week. I can't wait for Mania. I hope you guys will enjoy it as well. And until next time, I shall leave you with John to say the goodbyes.
Don't have nightmares. Do sleep well. Don't drink and drive. Don't beat women. And that's the bottom line, because John Cook says so.